Peace, family. This video right here is about empaths. Now, if you don't know what an empath is a person who is able to digest the electromagnetic field of another organism into their own biofield. Now, let me give you the science. Your nervous system, specifically your heart, is 100,000 times more electrical than your brain. So with that being said, your heart actually creates your body's aura. But in science, the word for aura is biofield. Now your biofield is actually your neurological transmissions being imputed out of the body and circulating back into the body. So just like the planet Earth has its latitude and longitude lines, aka its magnetosphere, aka its nervous system, coming out of the North Pole and then wrapping around the planet Earth and entering back into it in the South Pole, this is the same with you. So the magnetosphere is the aura of a planet, and your biofield is the aura of an organism, aka you as a human. Now with that being said, your neurological system, aka your nervous system, your nerves, your thoughts and emotions travel along these neurological pathways. Now with that being said, or these nerves as you call them. Now with that being said, a part of your aura, connected to a part of your aura, if you go watch my video, 7 Levels of Existence, I break this down in my Farewell University. I did this video a couple months ago. I break down how your emotional body contacts the physical body and the soul. Now your biofield is actually connected to your emotional body. And your emotions are actually generated by your heart. Your heart creates your emotions, and these emotions are actually filtered out through your body, through your biofield. And empath is somebody who has a sensitive enough heart chakra to digest the biofield or aura of other beings and digest their emotions at a stronger rate than an average human. So much to the point that they actually begin to experience these emotions in negative and positive outlook. Now let me break down how emotions are created first of all. Emotions are created by the heart. Psychology, aka your mental perception on phenomena that you experience, generates the will to react in a certain manner. But your heart produces the chemicals for your body to actually physically manifest that will. Now let me give you the understanding. Anger. Anger is only experienced once the heart rate speeds up to a certain velocity. If you were able to control your breath 100% of the time, it will be impossible for you to experience anger because your heart will never be able to speed up to produce the biochemical in order to kick that hormone into the bloodstream for you to manifest this emotion. So that being said, this is why self-discipline and self-control is so important, because you actually control your internal storm. It's just like you're a planet. Tornadoes, tsunamis, and all of those right here are allegorical to the emotions you experience. If you control your inner winds, you control your inner weather. So that being said, family, just like temperature, depending upon the temperature of the day, if it's hot or cold, it determines a certain level of existence. Your temper inside, depending upon how you feel, it determines a certain level of existence. So the as above, so below. The microcosm is just another reflection of the macrocosm. Now with that being said, family, getting back on point, depending upon the heart rate or the speed or the velocity of one's heart will determine the emotion that they have the potential of experiencing, along with the amount of breath and the speed of breath that people are taking in regards to the respiratory system. So with that being said, your circulatory system and your respiratory system being influenced by your brain, your psychology, creates an emotion. This emotion is filtered out through the nervous system and filtered out of the body through one's biofield. Now this biofield comes in contact with somebody else's electromagnetic field. If you need more of an understanding on that, go watch my video titled Energy Field, and I break that down. So once your aura or your biofield comes in contact with another person's biofield, y'all exchange electromagnetic radiation, aka emotions, and an empath is able to digest another person's frequency. And this empath is someone who has a hypersensitive biofield, and they're able to digest someone's frequency, as I stated earlier, so on and so forth, to the point where they actually can experience this motion at a higher rate of those people. So an empath might do something like, for example, walk down the street, stop at a bus stop. The person at the bus stop might be sad, and then the empath will all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it seems, to develop these sad, negative feelings, and then they'll come home and they'll spew this sadness in their everyday lives in regards to their interactions with the people in their everyday lives, and they won't seem to understand where it came from. But this is how. You're simply digesting the energy of other people at a more sensitive rate. So it's about understanding your power as an empath. There's not nothing bad about it. It's just understanding that either you are one or that you potentially are at a higher level of digestion in regards to the biofield of other organisms than the average person. So you need to understand what's going on with you. Now, with that being said, when we're dealing with empathic people, they tend to be, though for those people who don't know they're empathic, they tend to be emotionally unbalanced or emotionally unstable. This is not about being, let's say, out of whack mentally. This is about people not understanding their own power and their own ability. Because an empath who knows their ability and can control their ability is actually a very powerful asset in this physical realm. So with that being said, women specifically are more prone to become empaths more so than men because their entire being is internal. Just like everything a woman does is internal. Everything a man does is external because we're made up predominantly of protons and women are made up predominantly of electrons. Now with that being said, electronic energy, feminine energy, is a digestive energy. This is why women are nurturers. They can take the negative energy in a man and manifest it into good. This is why women take care of children. Everything they do is them taking energy from the environment, organisms in the environment, and transmuting it back into a positive form. This is why the semen comes out of a man's penis. It projects out, and a woman, and it becomes injected into the woman, and they digest it. The baby grows inside of them. Everything a woman does is internal. They're natural nurturers, and women are more prone to be empathic than men. Not saying it's impossible for a man to be empathic, but there's a higher rate of women empaths than men for this exact spiritual reason. Now, with that being said, you as a being exist inside an atom. Atoms are the subatomic manifestors of this physical body. Intelligence is seated inside the nucleus of an atom, which quantum physics will prove. Now, with that being said, inside that nucleus of the atom is where consciousness lies. And this is where the God consciousness governs all atoms because all things are interconnected in an atomic web, you can call it, by what they call the veil in quantum theology. Now, with that being said, it is in the very essence of your atomic being where your electrical charge is conducted. And this electrical charge, because remember, atoms become molecules, molecules become organs, organs become organ systems, and organ systems become organisms, and organisms become living entities, such as animals and humans. In this case, we're talking about humans. But if you retrace that step I just gave you, that blueprint, all the way back to the atom, it is in the atom where your very first electrical charge exists. And this electrical charge is what helps manifest your organism. And it is from your atomic structure to which your biofield is feeding off of and yet feeding back into. And so once this biofield, like I said, interacts with the biofield of another person, you swap information. It is a fact that atoms hold and store information and that atoms have memory. This is how water knows how to go back from a gas to a liquid to a solid, because it literally remembers its last form of existence. This is the same thing with digesting other people's emotions. We are exchanging understanding on a bioenergetic level and on a subatomic level. And some people are more hypersensitive to this energy exchange, aka this electromagnetic current transmission from one organism to another, and they digest it so deeply in themselves biologically that they actually begin to produce the effect of the organism whose electrical current they're now conducting. As I stated, if my heart rate is beating at a certain pace and I manifest anger and then I transmute that electromagnetic energy to you and you now digest that, your body now begins to mimic my body on a biological scale. So now your body begins to produce the effect that my body was once producing because you are now conducting the electrical current that my body was once or either is still currently conducting. You follow me, family? So that being said, people that are empaths, my greatest advice to you would be to psychologically create a fortitude within yourself. Because remember, your respiratory system and your circulatory system, aka your lungs and your heart, are reactionary in regards to your psychological understanding on what it is you believe you're experiencing. Everybody is not scared of the same thing, therefore everybody doesn't react the same way to the same thing. So what you need to do is actually begin to meditate and circumcise out of your life, circumcise out of your life all of the negative understandings that you have or incorrect understandings that you have in certain areas of your life, and replant seeds of a new positive understanding and ponder on this new insight daily until it becomes concrete into your everyday psychological state of existence. So that way you begin to create a fortitude or a different understanding on life, which causes your body to biologically and subanatomically have a different reaction in regards to you physically, in regards to your experiences in life. So that being said, family, like I said, go watch my video Energy Field, because I break it down so crazy from another perspective in regards to the operational functions of one's energy field and biofield. But this one right here, I want to stay on the topic of empaths and break down for my empathic family what it is that they're experiencing and what it is that their flaws, that their powers as well as their flaws may be and may have an effect on them due to them not understanding their own abilities and powers. So with that being said, family, your spiritual power is your number one power. Understand not just what it is you're going through, but why it is that you're going through it. And once you do that, then you can actually harness this ability for your own strength while you navigate and enjoy the rest of your temporary existence within this shell. And with that being said, family, I love y'all. Peace.